What if Salamence was in Gen 1 OU? Now, I've already gone over some, or is Scarshop the only dragon type I've gone over? I feel like I have to have done at least one other one, right? Even if I didn't, Salamance's still a very iconic one. It was, like, the first, like, dragon type that was, like, actually good. Not that Dragonite wasn't good. Like, you know, obviously, it was, like, borderline in Gen 2. Like, and, like, you know, it's good in like, Gen 1. Although it's more so just for being an annoying agility wrap, you know, spammer. But how would Salamence do? Because obviously, you know, Salamence has much more offensive stats and has a pretty good move pool. So, would that be enough to have it thrive in Gen 1? Let's find out, shall we? Now, starting off, like, these stats are, you know, obviously incredibly good. And the thing that I think is the most important is going to be its base 100 speed stat, which is the exact same as like Zapdos. So not only is that like really fast, but also it creates like a really good amount of time too. Like I think it's like a 19% or something, or somewhere around that range. And yeah, with 135 attack and 110 special attack, that's amazing. This thing can definitely hit hard. However, it does, you know, suffer from, you know, stab. Kind of like most dragons before that physical special split. But I don't think it's going to complain that much. Because it does have a really good and like wide variety of like different moves. Like it has Body Slam, Double Edge, Earthquake, Flamethrower and Fire Blast. Funny enough, Hydro Pump. And I feel like I honestly feel like you actually would actually run this on Salamence. It also has Rest, Rock Slide. I kind of considered Wish, as like I know it's like really important to like Salamance's lore, but I was like, no, it doesn't really need it. Not to mention, I don't know, it's found it kind of weird. But yeah, and then obviously have Hyper Beam. What doesn't have Hyper Beam? Or I guess it also has like moves like Mimic, and like Thrash and Swift, but those aren't really too relevant. But yeah, really good moveset. Personally, the one that I could see is like, Body Slam's definitely good. So like, but personally, like the moveset I chose for like these like replays is Earthquake, Rock Slide, Hyper Beam, and then unironically Hydro Pump. Specifically just for Rhydon and only Rhydon. Because like Earthquake's super effective, but Rhydon's really tanky, and Rock Slide can hurt really bad. So that's why I think it's just a lot easier if you just have a move, you can just one-shot it, you know? Although with how many good moves it learns, it's not like absolute. Like, if you want Body Slam, that can work. If you want to try to get away with Rest, that's also possible. I guess it also learns Headbutt, but eh. But yeah, compared to a lot of other mons I've covered on this series, it has a pretty good move pool. And unfortunately though, like, let's just tackle the big elephant in the room. The same issue that Landorus and Garchomp suffered with, and that's a 4 times weakness to Ice. Because yeah, Ice is very prominent in Generation 1. And what's even worse is that the vast majority of the Ice types, or at least the Pokemon that use the Ice moves, are faster than Salamence. And yes, base 100 speed is very good, especially for the time. But this is really unfortunate, because a lot of the stuff like Tauros and Starmie are the ones that run Blizzard and they're faster. So yeah, it's a big issue. And because of that, it kind of means that even though Salamence has a pretty good typing defensively, gives you an immunity to Earthquake, you resist water, grass, fire, it really doesn't matter that much because of just how common Ice moves are. It's sort of like fire, because you don't really think about it, but like the fire typing has like the second most amount of resistances, resisting itself, grass, bug, steel, and fairy. However, no one thinks of fire as a defensive type because it's not a good defensive type. And that's because the 3 weaknesses that it does have are some of the most common attacking types in the game, those being water, ground, and rock. So it's sort of the same thing here, where like, on paper, even if you don't have like base 110 special, even if it's just 80, that's still better than Tauros, and on like Tauros you actually resist stuff, and your defense is also like not as good, but also still really good, especially with that HP. But against ice moves, it doesn't really matter, and not even just ice moves. Like you resist water, which is like a decently common like I guess a special attacking type, but like psychic, like yeah, you could tank them, but like for most of them you get 3-hit KO'd, which is good, but the issue is again like, you know, just not fast enough. So for stuff like Alakazam, or Alakazam isn't that bad, you'll see that with the replay, but yeah, like it definitely has its issues. That's why I think Salamence, I think its main role would be a late game cleaner after like most of the other Pokemon are paralyzed. Because once most of the other Pokemon are paralyzed and they've already taken damage, Salamence does a lot better. Because with that base attack, you I think that attack is actually higher than Kingler, which is pretty insane to think about. But yeah, like once the Pokemon are weakened and you don't have to worry about them outspeeding you, you can just very easily revenge kill them with like Earthquake or Hyper Beam. Rhydon just can't stay in, so whatever switches in needs to take like a Hydro Pump. And with base 110 special, that's like it'll hit decently hard. But I think that's about it. I think it's about time we go into the replays. We don't have as many as we usually do, and that's because there's no reason showing you like stuff like Starmie one-shotting with Blizzard. And speaking of which, yeah, you can see a big issue here. It's the name like Hyper Beam doesn't even like 2-hit KO Tauros. So it's kind of why you need to like, you need them to be paralyzed and like already taking some chip damage. Because Salamence can hit hard, but if it doesn't kill, it's kind of in trouble. And sometimes, like, yeah, like, I genuinely wasn't expecting Earthquake to do that little damage. But yeah, that's a big issue, as you can probably tell. So for some of these, it's just a truly terrible matchup. And there's not much you can really do otherwise. Now, against Chansey, like, I don't know if this counts as could go either way, because Hyper Beam 2-hit KOs it. And I imagine like a critical Earthquake can do a lot of damage too, though I doubt it kills it. But then Ice Beam just does so much damage to you. Granted, if it's like a variant that like only uses like Seismic Toss as an attacking move, you do a lot better. But how many of those are even like left, you know? Like I think it's almost always like Ice Beam, maybe Bolt Beam, or like Ice Beam and Seismic Toss. Never see anything else. But at least with Alakazam, your attack stack can still pose a big threat. Because like, yeah, Earthquake could 2-hit KO Alakazam, which as you can imagine, well, it's not always like gonna be 2-hit KO, but it's pretty. I don't know what the percentage is. I had to look it up with like a damage calc or something. But yeah, Salamence, like the matchup against Alakazam, not that bad, especially when Psychic only 3-hit KOs you. So like they can paralyze you, but then you get a free attack off, and they can try to hit you twice. But with both Earthquake, there's like a decent chance that it can just 2-hit KO you with Earthquake. And I'm pretty sure there's an Earthquake followed by Hyper Beam, it's just guaranteed to KO. So yeah, Salamence, good for you. Against Eggy, you can't even like 2-hit KO, it's just like 3-hit KO with Hyper Beam. So that means you can't really take it on. Not at full health, and even if it's taking some chip damage, it's still probably a big threat to you. So, sucks, but it's Executor. What do you expect? What really likes taking on Executor at full HP? Nothing, other than like a scary Jolteon that can somehow guarantee 5 pin missiles. And then against Gengar, it can use Hypnosis, but it very much not might be worth it. Because especially if you miss, you might be boned. And especially with Salamence, like with how likely it is to crit, Earthquake can like decent chance it'll just outright kill you. So I just don't think it's like worth it, in my opinion. Although you can definitely try. Then against Jolteon, I was just kind of curious. Thunderbolt, just like, I think a 4-hit KOs, or 3 hits, I mean. But you just 2-shot it with, you know, Earthquake. So, yeah, it kind of sucks. But, like, at least with Jolteon, like, crits can, like, help do a lot better. But Salamence can also get some crits, so it's probably not worth it. And then here it is. This is one-shotting Rhydon with Hydro Pump. Is Blizzard, like, from Starmie guaranteed to kill or Rhydon? I forget if Blizzard is, like, a guaranteed one-hit KO or not. If it is, I would argue that's pretty relevant. Like, or if it doesn't, I mean. Okay, the point is, Hydro Pump, killing Rhydon, very good. Especially since, like, it's probably the main user of, like, any Rock-type moves. So, at the very least, in Gen 1, like, yes, Ice, gonna be a big issue. But at least you don't have to worry about your rock weakness for the most part. And then finally against Zapdos. You have the same speed, so it's pretty much anyone's game. Although with them having access to paralysis, I would argue it's way more in their favor. But it really can't go either way. Like, crits also help, so it just depends on who gets luckier. So, yeah, Zapdos might win with that replay, but, like, you'll win some games with, like, Salamence against Zapdos in the future. And here's my viability. So I'm not really sure if Chansey should go here. And I'm not sure if Snorlax is, like, unwinnable or not. But here it is. Would Salamence be an OU? I'll be honest, I am not betting my money on it. Because, it hits hard. Not to mention, it, like, you know, like, late game, everything's paralyzed. It can, like, kill a lot of stuff. But Kingor is, like, the exact same. And, right, Kingor is, like, it's good in OU. You can definitely use it. But it's not an OU Pokemon. So, would Salamence end up in underuse? I would imagine most likely. I kind of doubt it would be borderline. Because I know there's, like, a lot of, like, ice types and water types in underuse. So I imagine, like, blizzards are everywhere, if not even more common. So I genuinely don't know where Salamence would end up. But I'm curious what you guys think. How good do you think Salamence would be in Gen 1? Do you think it would find a way to, like, still survive in OU? And, like, actually be in, like, the OU tier? Under OUs? Or would it be, like, in borderline? Or do you have, like, literally no faith in Salamence whatsoever? And you think it would be a never used? I don't think there's a timeline where it's a never used. I think worst case scenario, it's a never used borderline. But even then, putting Salamence in the same tier as, like, Golduck, Raichu, and Poliwrath seems kind of silly. So I'm imagining it'd either be, like, one of the worst OU mons, or more likely just an underused Pokemon, just like Dragonite. But that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. Don't be afraid to give us some suggestions. This is Groundback, and I look forward to hearing from you.